Today we'll be doing reflections on yesterday, July 21st. How about that?
Great. So, where did we start the day yesterday? Right,
We
Cody.
started the day in Cody, Wyoming. It's really hard to keep track at this point. Yeah, where'd the time go? Some days seem really long driving, but now it's like, where did it go? What happened?
Right, yeah.
We're on the road. You do laundry. So we got some things laid out on the chairs, trying to dry. At a premium is outlets for charging. We didn't get a real early start, but we knew we were going to Yellowstone National Park and the Grand Tetons, and to end up in Idaho Falls, Idaho. It's been a long time since I've been to Yellowstone and visiting Old Faithful. I had gone there when I was about 12 years old. I remembered a lot about it, so it was a good day.
We also kind of felt a little disappointed leaving Cody because it looked like there were a lot of cute things to go and visit, but we really don't have time to see everything. But it was really a cute little town. Oh, and the water was so good.
So we filled up all our water jugs that we had available. But if you have time sometime, stop and spend a couple days in Cody, Wyoming. It looked like a very cute place, so.
Yeah. The national parks that we're going to be visiting today do have some mask requirements. So if you go indoors, you wear a mask. If you're in an outdoor area where you can't distance, you need to wear a mask. But otherwise outdoors you don't need to wear a mask if you're able to be distanced away from other people. You know, makes sense.
I got to use my brand new senior lifetime national park pass. Yeah, so it's the first time I got to use it. 20 annual, 80 lifetime.
Good morning, welcome to Yellowstone.
Good morning.
A mapping guide?
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. There you are.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good day.
Proceed on East Entrance Road.
Inside a volcano. We're not quite inside the caldera yet, but this is a volcano.
It's a big one.
It's huge. Wow. The caldera is so big, you can't see the peaks on the other side.
When we stopped at the lake, of course, we had to use the little facility they have there, and somebody comes out, there's no toilet paper. So we went to the car and brought in a roll and donated it for the cause.
Yeah. Yep. Figured if we got to bring it in for us, we might as well leave it for everyone else. We came prepared, so we've still got 3 or 4 more rolls in the car.
We've got plenty, so we're doing good. That was a concern on the trip, of course, because there's been such a paper shortage.
What a beautiful hairpiece you have there. The highlight of my day was probably seeing the bison.
And the first one we saw was a real surprise because we had stopped at the edge of a lake to look at the lake and look around. And we saw some people heading in a direction with cameras, and we looked over and there was just a bison across the road on a little knoll, just standing there looking at everybody, minding his own business. So that was cool for the first one to see.
Yeah.
And then the other two we saw later as we were driving through the park. One was rolling around in the dirt. That was funny.
Yeah.
One was just sitting watching cars go by. It was about 4 feet from the road.
Right, yeah, that was really neat.
And as soon as Crescentia said, all right, that's enough bison, we didn't see a single one after that. So, we also saw an elk, 2 elk.
I think there were actually 3 that we saw, 2 that we got on camera.
Right. Yeah, so I put on my telephoto and
Oh yeah, that was a great one. He was silhouetted so
Yes.
nice over there.
yeah. So he was laying in the grass, and while I was filming, he got up and walked away. So I got his butt, and walking away.
Nice.
As I mentioned earlier, I went to Yellowstone National Park when I was about 12, I think. And when we got to the entrance to the park, they told us what time Old Faithful had gone off last, and that it goes off regular intervals. I think it's an hour and 28 minutes, give or take 10. And there were 3 of us kids in the car, and so he said, okay, make a bet on what time Old Faithful will erupt again. So my 2 sisters picked times, and I picked right between them. So we got to Old Faithful, and we're watching it and watching the watch, and it went off on my time. How about that? And I told Crescentia about that story, and she said, okay, what time is it going to go off? Well, this time we had no clue when the last time it had erupted. We didn't ask anybody at the gates. We didn't see any signs. So I said 1:36.
Because it was 1 o'clock.
It was 1 o'clock at the time, and I just thought, okay. And she picked
2:12.
2:12.
I figured that was the most inconvenient time for us for it to go off. And it wouldn't be long enough to go and do anything else and come back. So it would be the most inconvenient time if it went off at 2:12.
So we found a parking place, and we walked up to the visitor center, and it said predicted time of eruption 1:35.
And it was about 1:32 at this point.
So we just looked at each other, let's go. So we walked around the building, all the way around, and she found a spot to film so she could get the whole scene with lots of people.
I actually started filming before we found a spot. I started filming at 1:34 just in case I'm going, and like the first little bit is like me just going, I'm starting to film just in case.
Just in case it does erupt. So I went all the way up and found a spot where I could just film it without people in it and just get the geyser going off.
And I stayed back a little bit so I could get the crowds and make sure, because I know it goes up pretty high and I didn't want to be too close and only catch, the bottom couple of feet of it. I wanted to be able to get the whole thing, so.
Yeah. So I got up there and I had her phone in my pocket. And when I had predicted 1:36, she set an alarm for 1:35 to give us a minute warning, like, hey, your time's coming up. And so it went off in my pocket, so I pulled it out and have to turn it off and everything. And then I look up and Old Faithful is starting to bubble, and then a little bit bigger. And I had my phone ready and hit play or hit record, and sure enough, it went off. I'm calling it 1:36. We don't know exactly, but when it started bubbling, it was definitely right there. And
Right then.
it takes it, a while to build up. It bubbles, and then bigger, and then bigger, and then all of a sudden it just shoots up. A gentleman next to me had asked, because I told him, I was here 50 years ago, and so cool, I get to see it again. And last time, since I had guessed the time, I'm hoping it goes off on my time.
There you go.
He said, well, how high does it go? Real high. Really high. He goes,
Give us
okay.
a show.
And And I kind of showed him with my arm at an angle. I think it goes about that high. And he goes, wow, okay. And it starts bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. And sure enough, it probably went higher than I even projected. But so that was really cool. And then the couple on the other side of me, the wife said that was really cool because her parents had seen Old Faithful years ago and they have since passed away. So it was cool for her to see something that her parents also saw. And not everybody goes to see Old Faithful.
Yeah.
And then I heard somebody in the back say, bucket list number 100, check. So it is an incredible show of nature.
Yeah.
And it was especially incredible for me to get it to predict the time twice in my lifetime when I've been there twice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So-
So now I've decided I'm going to call her Old Faithful.
Yeah.
Which everyone says is appropriate for her because she's very dependable and you can always count on her to be there. So, yep. We talked to her sister. She says, "Yep, that's Bev, all right."
Yeah. Because what I did when we got to the car, I said, I got to call my sister Tony and see if she remembers going to Old Faithful. And so I call her up. I was wondering when we saw Old Faithful.
Oh my gosh, we were teenagers.
I was thinking I was 12, but I don't know.
I'd be 13 or 14 and you'd be 12 or 13.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, that's right, in the vicinity.
Do you remember the predictions for when it would go off?
Yeah, we all took a bet.
And who was right?
No, I don't remember that.
That's because it wasn't you, it was me. It went off on my minute, so an hour ago while we were driving towards Old Faithful, I told Crescent about that, and she said, okay, give me a time. I said 1:36. And she guessed what, 2:13?
2:12.
2:12. It went off at 1:36.
Oh my god.
We got there just in time. So we got a good laugh out of that, and that's when she said that Old Faithful was a good nickname.
Yep. See you on the road.